And good morning. Happy Friday, y'all. I have a special guest with me today. Not only an amazing entrepreneur and business owner, but she is also my friend. So, welcome, Miss Latasha Emeri.
Good morning, Patricia. Thank you for the invitation. Glad to be here with you on your show. Share some of this information.
Yes, awesome. So today we are going to talk about, of course, something real estate related, but we're going to give you some tips and tricks on if you have a loved one that has a home that needs in-home care. So this is something outside of the box. This is something that most people do not even think about. So today we're going to discuss different options on how real estate and in-home care service actually go together. So, Latasha, before we kind of get into the nitty gritty, tell me a little bit about Always Best Care.
So, always best care. It is our goal to keep your loved ones happy and safe wherever they call home. The statistics say that over 90, an overwhelming majority of seniors want to live in their primary residence. And so it's our job to keep them happy and safe in those locations. So we provide services such as bathing, grooming, transportation, meal preparation, and just some good old companionship and supervision.
Oh, that's awesome. So I know you guys. I told you guys in my past life, I used to actually be in healthcare. So Latasha and I met in that arena when I was networking with seniors. But I actually want to come back a little bit. So I'm in probate, so I can still be around seniors and still be around Latasha. And so I'm so excited that she's here today. So I also want to talk a little bit about give me an example on a time where you had a patient who could have benefited from possibly either selling their home, getting equity out of their home, whatever the case may be, and that you had to have that conversation with, or you had that conversation and they were open.
So I can think of one client in particular. She was a younger client. So, we think about senior care, we think about people who are 80 and 90 and, limited mobility. This young lady actually had multiple sclerosis. So she was diagnosed younger. She lived in a home that she shared with her husband, who has been deceased. He's been deceased for about a decade. And she was 64. She was right at the age to where she may be able to get some Medicare benefits. The misconception out there is that Medicare and your insurance is going to help you be happy and safe in your home. She had too much income to qualify for Medicaid, because there are some Medicaid programs that will pay for someone to come into your home and care for you, but she was not Medicaid eligible. So here she is sitting in a home that she shared with her husband for 30 plus years. In a point to where, it had been redesigned. She had some ramps put in, some things to help her with her mobility around the house. But she really did not need to be at home by herself. Falls are tragic. You fall in the home, nobody's coming by to check on you. We're in a bad situation. So she could have sold her home, used the money to relocate to another senior community, or downsize into a place that would better fit her needs.
Right.
Or she could have used the equity in her home for, some reverse mortgage situations or other things to be able to utilize those funds to stay in her home. She didn't have any children, so not necessarily a lot of heirs who are looking to benefit from the home when she passes away.
Mm-hmm.
But she today needs care.
Wow.
She needs a CNA or a home health aide to come in and help her with the basics. So let's talk about how much these things cost, because we're talking about tapping into, a large asset.
I'm glad you said that, because that actually was my next question. Like, let's talk about how do you actually pay for this in-home service?
Right. So the average home care in the greater Atlanta area is going to start at about $28 an hour. So if you think about, and let's keep the math simple, so let's round up to $30, because $28 is really if you don't need any hands-on care. $30 an hour. So if you're looking at somebody coming in for half a day for 4 hours, that's $120 a day. If you're talking about somebody coming in for 24 hours, you're talking in the upwards of $600, $700 a day.
Hmm.
A
Y'all hear
day.
that? A day, y'all. So remember how I keep talking about let's be proactive instead of reactive. So
Correct.
today we want to have the conversation on let's think about if this ever happened to you or a family member, like what is your protocol? What are some steps that someone can actually take to kind of prepare for something like this?
And really, it's about planning. It's about knowing who your heirs are, who you want to leave things behind to. If you don't have a lot of heirs, or even if you do, what burden do you want to put on your children or grandchildren to take care of you, versus you tapping into the assets that you have currently.
Right. Right. And so the reason why we want to talk about real estate and how we could potentially pay for these kind of services, but it's more than one way. So we already discussed selling it, but you can also maybe tap into the equity in your home. We could talk about reverse mortgages, which I will have a guest coming and talk about reverse mortgages. So we have this show today because part of why I do this show is the education, especially in our community. We don't know that this is available to us. I honestly didn't know about home care until I got into the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't know that's even a thing or how people were paying for it.
I didn't know about home care. My grandmother had Alzheimer's, and that's why I do what I do. My grandmother had Alzheimer's. We basically were told she's going to the hospital. What nursing home do you want to take her to? No one ever approached my mother about, hey, would it help if somebody just came in and gave her a bath,
Right.
allowed you to sleep? Because my grandmother was standing up all night.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was still working.
Mm-hmm.
There were none of these conversations. So it's important that we talk about these things and how we remedy those things. And so we talked about tapping into the equity of your home, how people pay for these. The large majority of home care is going to be paid for out of private funds, unless you are Medicaid eligible. You're able to get one of the waivers to pay for someone to come in, unless you are a veteran and you know how to tap into the VA to get your benefits. So they have a very good homemaker program. They have pension type programs that will help you pay for services. And there's also long-term care insurance. There's some life insurance policies that you can tap into to see if you could add a rider to them. But long-term care insurance is also another way to pay for these things. Medicare today will not pay for home care. I don't care who you call up. You can call up your Blue Cross Blue Shield, your Anthem policy. They have limited programs, so you may get 4 hours for 30 visits. You're not going to get a CNA coming to your home for 35 hours a week that is covered by Medicare. Your insurance is meant to keep you healthy. Again, we are the ones that keep you happy. We know how the world works. To be happy, you're going to have to probably pay for it yourself. So again, going back to planning, and doing these things when you are active and feel good.
Right.
And if you have a chronic condition, so if you have something like MS or Parkinson's or early onset Alzheimer's, God forbid, some of these things, these are conversations that you need to be having and things you need to think about. And when you purchase your home, how are you going to have this asset to work for you while you are still in your good mind and good health? When you get to 80 and you've fallen down the stairs, we're entering the game late.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. So we also talk about downsizing. Maybe that's a conversation you need to have right now. Maybe you're in a house right now that once you start to get older, you can't live in, and you can't afford to remodel the whole thing to make it fit.
Right.
I'm not at that age yet, but I'm to the point that I want to downsize. I'm tired of stairs. I'm tired of stairs. Funny story, y'all. When I first moved into my house, I am originally from Miami. We're not used to having, like 2-story homes. So I grew up in a ranch home. Mm-hmm. So when I first moved into my home, a 2-story home, I fell like 2 or 3 times because like I was not used to it. And then I have like hardwood floors. So if you already know or already in your mind, like, okay, I'm going to have to start thinking about ways of making my home safe, whether it's just downsizing to another home or, let's talk about this. Let's talk about what is considered home to get home care.
So anywhere you live, so whether that be in a hospital, a nursing home, an assisted living community, a memory care community, at your house, your daughter's house, your boyfriend's house. We can take care of you wherever you call home. You can have an aide anywhere you want it because, like I just said, you're going to pay to be happy. And for your loved one that may be your, your primary caregiver, for them to have some peace of mind. But I want to go back, though, when you talk about, downsizing your home. I mean, think about it. Like, my parents are in their late 70s, and they live in a 2-story home. I mean, somebody has to go up there and flush the toilets. So you think about having somebody come in for home care. We talk about, well, what is this person going to do for these 4 hours or 2 hours or however long they're here?
Right.
They may just be going upstairs to flush the toilet for the home that you made to think about. Do I need to downsize?
Right.
Or maybe even if you have, there's a lot of these homes now. I'm seeing where parents are moving with children, so they're looking for a new home, so they're actually upsizing so that they can, I've seen some very nice converted basements for some parents.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes.
Getting that home that will allow you to have a total mother-in-law suite downstairs, so where you can check in on your mom.
Oh yeah, so I actually sold a house last year to a friend of mine that her in-laws were moving from Chicago, and they already had a really nice house that they thought they were going to settle in, but the in-laws needed to move in, and she actually got along with them, y'all, so it wasn't a bad situation. So because that happens too.
Yes.
What, your mama moving in? No, but it was actually a good situation. Both parents needed to move in, and we got her a beautiful, like, she had the upstairs ranch. It wasn't like a 3-story, it was actually just a 2-story. And she got a ranch, nice. Of course, I want the ranch. But then she had a whole other, like, it looked like an apartment downstairs. It had a living room, literally a dining room, a kitchen, and 2 bedrooms down there. So, and then they had their own access to get into that room. So there's things that can happen. Once again, they were proactive instead of reactive when they got to the point when they aren't able to get up at all. So I was actually proud of them for doing that. And just in thinking about it, that was a situation. I didn't think about it then. I'm thinking about it now, that they definitely thought about, long-term future. When they're actually in-laws, her in-laws couldn't actually move or get around. She was actually, able to get something nice for them. So that is something to think about, y'all. So go ahead.
I was going to say, this is the other thing that we do. So home care is our primary business, but we also offer placement services. So for our clients that home is no longer the best place for them, we will help them find a new community. And so, again, let's talk about how much these things cost. If you're moving into an assisted living community, so you may need a little bit of help, maybe, just somebody to make sure you got a shower, somewhere where you can get all your meals prepared, somebody can do your laundry once a week, things of that nature. In Metro Atlanta, on the low end, with just a little bit of care, we're looking at $3,000 a month starting. And I'm talking, you got to be in pretty good shape. And I'm talking in a studio.
Oh yeah.
We're talking $3,000. If you need some help, if you are diabetic and you're insulin dependent, so you got these medications that you need to take, you're looking at about $4,500 a month. So I did have a client earlier this year. It's a widow. He had a couple of health scares, and it was just time to leave. Again, the traditional 2-story bedroom home where he no longer could go upstairs. He was living downstairs in the bedroom downstairs and on the couch primarily, and not really taking good care of his meals and diet. It was time to move to a community. So now he's into his community. The house is for sale, and so you're going to more than likely need the asset from the sale of the home to continue
to pay for some care like that. Yeah.
And you don't, who knows how long you're gonna be there.
Yeah.
So you're talking, if it's $4,000 a month, we're looking at almost $50,000 a year. If you're 60, 70, and you got a 20-year, 25-year lifespan, where are these things coming from, folks?
Exactly. And so she just brought up, same thing. They had to actually sell their home in order to pay for care, pay for a space that they're going to be okay and safe. You know what I mean? And like she mentioned, you could still get home care in these places as well, right? So how does that work when you're in a assisted living setting? They already have certain amount of a certain level of care. How do you guys come in?
So there may be a situation. A lot of times, if we have someone with Alzheimer's or dementia and they're going into a new community, and they've been working with us, they may just need that consistency of the aid as they get acclimated to the new environment. So how can we minimize the change? And so we're not with them, the full time as we would have been in the past. Now we're just there as a familiar face, maybe help them through some of their activities of daily living, and take some of that off of the assisted living staff. Sometimes people will keep us so that they can keep that care level down. So when you look at pricing in a community, you're looking at rent and then you're looking at levels of care. And the more times I have to put my hands on you, the more it costs for you to be in the assisted living. So some families may just choose to, well, we've been working with, Latasha over here for 2 years with mom at home. Let's just have that aide go and she can just go, and just even sit down and have dinner with mom just for that consistency. And again, peace of mind for you. Yeah,
absolutely. So
it's something that the communities are happy for people to have their creature comforts, because this is now your home, and hopefully you can stay there until the end.
So let's talk about nursing homes. So I'm very familiar with nursing homes because I used to work in nursing homes for about 6 years, a little bit too long actually. The dynamics that I see in a nursing home, something else, to be proactive. I used to work the admissions office. So I used to tour people around, get them to come into the community, into the nursing home. I would say 8 times out of 10, families don't want to put their loved ones in a nursing home. The problem is because you weren't proactive, you were reactive. It's kind of like the only place that you feel like I could afford. And sometimes it is, right? So let's talk about situations where nursing home and home care kind of go together as well.
Yeah. So in a nursing home, you need a care that is just safer for you to be in that type of environment. It is no longer safe for you to clinically receive the treatment that you need in your bedroom or living room space. And if it is safe for you to have that at home, it costs a lot of money. So by the time we get to a skilled nursing situation, typically, if you've had to switch over to nursing home Medicaid, you may not have any assets left that are going to allow for us to come in. The state is not going to pay for your aid to come in. And that's something else I'll mention too, for those who use the Medicaid waiver to have an aid come into the home. The first line of that says that you are Medicaid eligible and that you are a skilled nursing level of care. So the aides that are coming into your home, if it's covered through the Medicaid program, they already say that, hey, you likely would be in a nursing home, except we have this community-based care that can come in and help you and keep you at home, because the state wants to keep you at home. They don't want you in the facilities.
Right.
But you can, if you have the luxury of having anything left after you go to the nursing home, or you have, family members that we would have your home mom, except for, this uncontrolled disease that just needs to be monitored 24/7. We're going to use some private funds to have someone come in. A lot of times it's for oversight. It's for...
I was just going to say that. This is actually something, if you have to put your loved one in a nursing home, I would recommend to get home care. Because if you as family members can't always make it there, unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't always go the way that it's supposed to go.
Right.
If they think that no one is there to kind of watch.
Absolutely.
And not to downgrade anybody who works in a nursing home, but I've seen firsthand that, not only for the staff not looking over them sometimes, but it's also for like mental, if they feel like no one loves them, no one's coming to visit them, I just feel like it's a great idea just to have home care.
Absolutely.
If you have to do a nursing home situation, unless your family could be there a lot. Right. You know what I mean? I just think it's a good idea. But when we get back, we're going to get to know Latasha a little bit more. And before we go, let's get some contact information. If someone needed your services or wanted to pick your brain on home care services, how can they contact you?
Please give us a call, 678-487-3803. And our website is abcatlantabuckhead.com.
All right, we'll be right back, y'all. All right, y'all, we're back. All right, so before we end the show, we definitely want to give you an idea on if you, with this show, if you thought about anyone that could possibly benefit from this service, and you just want to know, okay, when should I actually call Latasha? When should we actually call Always Best Care for your services?
So in a perfect world, you would call me before you or your loved one wasn't feeling well, or before they had surgery, or they fell down in the backyard. You would call before then, and you'd already have a game plan for when something does happen. We're just going to call the agency. They're going to match us with an aide, and we're going to start service. Unfortunately, most people call us when it's an emergency. Right. So home care is not meant to be emergency care. It's meant to be planned and thought out. We have the right skill set. We have the right schedule. But that's not how things work. And I also want to make the distinguishment between home care and home health care.
Yes.
So I get a lot of calls. I don't know what the Google search engine sends people to our phone number, but we get a lot of calls for people that are looking for a facility, people that are looking for home health, and people that are looking for home care. Mm-hmm. So home health is a clinician comes out, you're getting physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and some nursing services. Again, home health care is covered by your insurance because those people are going to keep you healthy. Everybody, the goal of the healthcare system is to keep you out of the hospital. Mm-hmm. So that is what home health is. Home care, your CNAs, your home health aides that come to your home, again, we're going to be more of an episode that you're going to need to pay for privately, or have thought about how you're going to pay for it. Right. So I think people, because they're in their emergency situation, they haven't necessarily, we just don't have $10,000 sitting in the bank that's set aside specifically for an aide to come out 4 days a week after mama has her surgery.
Right.
The thing that, deters a lot of people from getting home care is just the sheer cost. Mm-hmm. So one of the other things I'll mention, most agencies, especially since COVID, post-COVID, and with the way our workforce is set up right now, most agencies require some type of a minimum. So that's either, 20 hours a week, 40 hours a week, at least a 4-hour shift. So you're already at the threshold of, $120 for somebody to come out one time. Mm-hmm. We don't have a minimum. We offer what we call well check visits. And so we'll come out and do something between 30 minutes and 2 hours to kind of, make your cost a little bit less, make the sting to your pocketbook a little bit less.
Right.
But that's not the right thing for everybody.
Right.
So again, if you have a chronic condition, COPD, congestive heart failure, AFib, if you're on oxygen, if your loved one is showing signs of dementia, then you may need to start to plan now and start to think of, I'm going to probably need somewhere between $120 to $240 a day for this aide to come in and help my loved one. But I also think I want to reiterate, we're not just helping your loved one, we're helping you. So that you can get to work.
Burnout is real.
Yes. So think of it sometimes as self-care for yourself. I'm going to have this aide come in and, give mama a bath, make sure that mama eats, so that I can go get my hair done.
Right.
I can just sit out on the park bench. You know what? I'm going to take a nap. Mm-hmm. Because we are all juggling a lot of things, and taking care of our loved ones is one of those things that we're juggling. So just planning. Call us as soon as you have a need. Do your research now. Mm-hmm. Do your research now.
Yeah. And let's talk about, because I like to give stories and examples. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about a situation where someone called you and it was just like a little bit too late.
Oh man. And I know you've had our good buddies on to talk about, hospice and when to engage with hospice. I've had families call. I get probably one of these every couple of weeks where I have, it's usually a daughter that's at the hospital, and the hospital has basically told them there's nothing else we can do, and you need to take your mother home right now today. We're discharging your mom at 6 p.m. And, what are you going to do? To this point, the daughters are usually at home. Their home isn't ready to receive mom. Mom's home isn't in a condition to take care of her. And sometimes it's just, we can do the best we can. But if you call me on a Tuesday. Now, if you call me at 6 o'clock and you need somebody to come out tomorrow, yeah, we can do what we can to get somebody out, but that's not going to be the best situation. Again, just trying to be mindful when you start noticing changes in your mother. Mama doesn't get around the way she used to. Mamas keep repeating these questions. It may be time to have some conversations with mama. Make sure that you're going to the doctor's appointments with your loved one and you're there to be an advocate. We can't receive all this information when we're going to the doctor's office by ourselves. We just can't. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Especially when it's not good news too. So you kind of start blocking stuff out.
Right.
And I know this firsthand because I experienced it with my mom. I didn't go to the doctor's appointments with her. But when I did, I started hearing like the real on what was really going on. And I'm like, why you never told me? You know what I mean? And, sometimes, the old school, they don't like to tell us what's going on. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to sometimes force your way in to, make sure that you know everything that's going on because you don't want to wait until it's not just home care. It's hospice that you need or, you're looking for a funeral home, So this is one of the reasons I wanted to bring Latasha on because these are conversations that are tough conversations, but we need to have them. So before we end today, is there anything that you want to leave our guests with?
So I would just tell you, the next time we're probably all getting together, maybe tomorrow or soon for Juneteenth or the 4th of July, your next family gathering over the summer. When you have your loved ones there, even if you're having a family reunion this summer in particular with your immediate family, just have some of these conversations. How are you all doing? And, I'm glad you're doing great, but what's the plan? Yeah. If something were to happen tomorrow, what's the plan? Do you have any funds that I can access to get you the care that you need? Because these are things I think about with my children. I have a family history. There's Alzheimer's something somewhere. My grandmother had it. I don't want my children to bear the burden of how they're going to take care of me. So these are conversations you have to have now, and putting pennies aside, or tapping in some of the benefits and resources that are out there that are available.
We're gonna need quarters instead of those pennies.
Yeah, we're gonna need quarters for sure. But educate yourself on long-term care insurance.
Yeah.
Learn demystify a reverse mortgage.
Yeah.
Have a plan for your housing. I'm going to buy this house. We're going to raise the kids here, and then we're going to sell this house and do something else. I mean, just talk about a plan.
Yeah.
Nobody knows but God, but you gotta have a little bit of something in your pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was definitely a pleasure to have you on today. And once again, if someone needs to contact you, what is the best way to contact you?
Give us a call, 678-487-3803. Those phones are answered 24/7. If you have a specialized question, we may have to take a message and call you back. Or you can go to our website, www.abcatlantabuckhead.com, and we have a lot of information out there. But please, just give me a call. I'm happy to talk to anyone, talk through your situation, and help you so that you have the information so you can make the best decision for you and your family.
All right, awesome. So stay tuned, you guys. Next week, I'm actually giving out a gift card. I want to see who is actually listening to my show. So I'm actually giving a $50 gift card.
Oh, 50.
Yes, $50. So it's going to be the first, I guess, third person. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But make sure you listen on next week as well. And I want to see who's actually listening. So I have a $50 gift card for you guys. Have an amazing weekend and have a great week. See you next week.